Now I really wish I would have looked at my.
Hello, everyone. We are live with Kelli Maroney, horror icon extraordinaire.
Oh,
Thank you so much for being with us today.
well, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I love this festival. It's 8 days. I thought
9 days.
9 days, which I thought, normally I figured that the usual thing is like Thursday to Sunday, and it's 9 days, you guys. So
Yeah. It
that's
was a strange one. We were able to get some dates in our theater, our host venue, but we weren't able to get like 5 dates in a row. So we thought we would string them together with some streaming days. Everything's streaming, but we've got 5 days in the theater. And then to keep it kind of connected, we did it that way.
yeah, and then it's all online too.
Mhm.
If you want to watch movies online, I'm astonished by the quality of the films I'm seeing. My mind is blown, actually.
Yeah.
Every
They
it's
get
wow. Well, it's um it's it's a it's creme de la creme. Let's say that.
the bar gets higher every year and it gets more and more difficult to choose because
I bet
there's so many that are so good.
I'm having a hard time. Yeah, yeah, I'm having I like everything for different reasons.
Yeah.
So hard.
So for those of you who don't know, Kelli is this year's bloody judge. So this is a position that we tap a celebrity or person working in the horror industry each year to help us get with a special award, and they pick kind of the film for them that embodies the spirit of independent horror films for them. And it's a rough,
Mhm.
it's a very tough choice. I don't know
Pressure.
you.
No pressure. And no pressure. Just pick the one that embodies the independent.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
No pressure. And it can't be a five-way tie.
Damn. I was gonna spring that on you. Okay.
No. So Kelli, you are known for Night of the Comet, Chopping Mall. Recently you were in The Deep Ones,
Mhm.
by Chad Farron, but you started out in theater. So you studied theater in Minnesota and then moved to New York City to study with the National Shakespeare Company. Did you ever actually get to perform any Shakespeare on the stage?
No. No, my big thought was there's a little town in Spring Green, Wisconsin, where I met these people when I was an apprentice at the Guthrie Theater because my school didn't have a drama department. And so I met all these, actors that did a whole bunch of Lort theater, and they were super. And, and it really appealed to me because I kind of took it as a religion more than just a craft or. To me, it was a religion. So um, they were going to start this repertory company where they were only going to do Shakespeare, and then they were going to branch out and like really get wild and do some Ibsen or some Chekhov. So I thought that was so wild, and because I didn't have training because my school didn't have a drama department, I thought I'm going to catch up. I'm going to go to this conservatory school over the summer, and I'm going to try to. Well, you can't catch up, but still. Um, and my teachers there at the Guthrie were F. Murray Abraham taught us improv. Stephen Lang was there. He was playing all the dashing male leads. Randall Duck Kim was Hamlet. I mean, it was wild. That's the thing about it. Even if you're in the Midwest, you might think, well, I'm not in New York, I'm not in Los Angeles. Yeah, but these actors are coming to the I mean, and there was a whole bunch of us because we did The Pretender. Stephen Lang was oh my gosh, um, um, William H. Macy was, yeah, so it was wild. So, um, they couldn't pay us off because we were nuns and stuff like that, and so they gave us classes for free. So I got to study with all these people. I mean,
That's
they weren't like
amazing.
high pressure college classes, but I sucked it up as hard as I could, and
Nice.
so then I thought I'm going to catch up somehow, and so I thought I'd go to my mom, and I decided I should, if I went go to conservatory school, I can try to catch up. I had this horrible Minnesota accent. Let me see if I can do it. I was like, oh God, I got to go to school and see if I can catch up with the rest of the kids. It's like terrible. It was like Fargo back actually. Um, and I got there and I did the summer and I said, Mom, I'm just gonna stay. Because there's a way I could have wrapped that up. And so um, I got a soap opera. I was running around looking for an apartment. I was underage, couldn't get a job. I tried to apply for a job at a Bloompies, and I ended up getting scammed out of the little tiny money that I had. It was one of the will you hold this for me? You look trustworthy, and it's a bunch of newspaper when you get home. It was terrible, but it was only 2 weeks. And I was looking for a place to live, and I went to this apartment place, and this lady took pity on me, and she said, "I you don't have a job. You're underage. I can't get you an apartment. Maybe I could find a roommate or something for you." Knowing full well, plus the Minnesota Strip was in full flush at that time. Um, and she said, "My friend is an agent, and I know they're looking for a Lolita type on the soap operas. Do you have a picture or anything?" I had this like one picture because I went to the John, what was it, John Robert Powers School of Modeling, I think,
Yeah.
uh, at junior high, and not junior high, but like freshman year or something. And um, I took that picture over, and first I go to the agent, and the office is the size of a closet, and it's hazy and smoky, and it looks like um, um, the Farrelly brothers version of of an agency, and it didn't look um, it wasn't like an agency like you'd think. There was just one lady there, and she was smoking, and it was tiny, and she said, "They're closed. Take this over there," you know, because I was all made up in the picture. You don't look like that, but take it off. I look like I'm 10 and then I'm all made up like glamorous and stuff. Um, and slide it under the door. So I did. Long story long, I got the audition. It was so weird. I was so unprepared. It was such an odd thing to happen that of course I had to get the job. And I know things like that do not happen. I don't expect them to happen ever again. But it was such I felt like the universe was shoving me into it, saying, "We know that you have no self confidence and no training, but we want you to do this anyway." And I sort of felt like, okay, there must be a reason I'm supposed to do this, and that's what kept me going. Because otherwise, I don't know. And then too, when you're doing that, it's like it's one foot in front of the other, one day after the other, and slowly, I mean, the woman who played my mother helped me learn how to cry on cue, and she was fabulous, and she taught me everything I know. We're still friends, and I can still hear her voice in my head when some of the things that she helped me, because all of a sudden you had to like pull off this scene, and I mean, even you could be trained all you want, but you still look at it and go, "How am I going to do that?" And it was so nice to have that closeness. It made it so human. And I just every day I went, I can't get fired and go home. It's not a possibility. Even though even though I was really homesick, and I remember there was a payphone on the way home from the studio. I called my mom, like I look ugly, crying. I want to go home. She goes, "You stick it out." This witch voice. Um, so yeah, it was like such a weird beginning, but it was I applied myself, and it's really, but I mean, and then I had to go to this school, which was a pretty. They talked a lot about how terrible doing television was because the guy who owned the school, his brother was um, on the Munsters grandpa, It's just,
Oh.
I think he was probably, they had some sort of rivalry or what. I don't know
Mm.
what it was, but he always talked about how horrible television was, and that because it was the National Shakespeare Company Conservatory, So I had to go tell him, and I was afraid he was gonna like mock me or something. And he said, "That's the whole point of this, Cal. Um, to get a job. Go do." I was like, "Really? The whole point of all of this was to get a job? I'm glad you told me now, like not from 10 years later when I'm still trying to be good enough to do, The whole point is to get a job." I'll never forget that because it, that one sentence was, he just, I mean, that's not what he was saying like the whole summer long, it was, everything was like so, um, um, artistic and, I just felt so intimidated by everything. And then for him to tell me the whole point is to get a job, it blew my mind. It still blows my mind. But anyway, I got super, super, super lucky because then after that, that led me to having a good agent because I was a working actress and to other opportunities that I would not have had if I hadn't got already been working at that age and already having a good agency because I was already working. And I got that thing without an age. I mean, you can it was like a nanosecond, like 2 weeks I had a job on television, I got my SAG card. People work for decades to get their freaking SAG card. It's like handed to me as I got off the plane, basically. It was so lucky, I'll never get over it. And, because
We're all thankful that that happened because then that led you to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So how
yes.
did you end up getting that role?
I auditioned for it, and I auditioned for Stacy. Now, I'm pretty sure they had Jennifer Jason Leigh all locked up here in Los Angeles, but in case something happened, like she wanted too much money or something. But I read the book, and it, I was, I actually did the character as she was written in the book. In the movie, you can't really tell, but in the book, she has a whole backstory. And but that was for Cindy, but I was auditioning for Stacy, and it got down to the point where it was myself and Phoebe Cates and Brian Backer, and it was all day long, and everybody was there, all the suits and Amy Heckerling and Karen Crowe, and everybody was there. And they ordered us lunch, and we just sat there and read the script over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I remember Phoebe said, "This we've died, and this is actor's purgatory right here." We're just going to keep reading the script over and over and over again. So anyway, I thought I have a decent shot at this, right? So I didn't get it, obviously. And then they called and they said, "Would Kelly like to be the cheerleader?" And I thought, cheerleader? Where did they come up with that? Because, okay, so far I played juvenile delinquent, and I've done another movie which didn't come out till later called Slayground, in which I was a psychotic killer. So I was this horrible, bad human being on soaps. And then I was a psychotic killer. I figured I was going to play dark and twisted. And then they cast me as a cheerleader, and my socks flew off. I thought, where did they ever get that? Right. So you're always the last to know about yourself because so I get there and here I am in California. It's Universal Studios, and it exceeds my expectation on every level. I feel like I'm Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. And I was watching this scene. I just got there where they all fall out of the van, and then the picture car comes in, and it's Brad's cruising vessel. And because I was so ensconced, I was so saturated with the book and everything, I went, "The cruising vessel." And producer turns around and he goes, "Who said that?" And I went, "I thought I blew a take." And he said, "Finally, some enthusiasm." And so now I know why they cast me as the cheerleader. But at the time, I didn't get it at all. You have to grow up and like live several years in your life before you start to realize other people don't see you the way you see yourself.
Mhm. Well, it's interesting that you then went on to play another cheerleader in Night of the Comet.
Mhm.
And was that, I mean, that character obviously is much different from the one that you played in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Do you feel like you were able to bring some of your own personality into both of those roles?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, like I said, the backstory on Cindy, the cheerleader, from the book, it goes into her family and kind of a little bit of things like that. So in one way, they're not very different. Um, you pick how you're going to, what you, you create the reality of that situation that you're in, and it ends up being, or for me, it ends up being, if I had grown up this way, if I had these set of circumstances, if this or that had happened to me, how would I be reacting? Because
Mm.
as Spencer Tracy once said, and somebody said, "You're always the same in your movies." And he goes, "Who do you want me to play?" This is me. I think we all end up it's pieces. We don't like put on a fake person. It's us in those given circumstances with that history and what we met, what, and then the whole thing is to let all that go and just find out for yourself. You're the last to know too. There you go. Oh, that's how I'd react in that situation because you don't know until you're there. So that's what's so fun about acting.
Interesting. So Night of the Comet was like your, well, Slave Ground actually was your first
Mhm.
foray into horror. And when you went from soap opera to Slave Ground, were you like, ooh, this is something I really like? Or was it like, hey, this is a job?
Oh, I've never been, oh, this is a job on anything. I'm terminally enthusiastic, which is funny that what cheerleader, what? Um, it was great. It was okay. So now we're all put on tape, and it's a big change for all of us. But I got that job on the tape. They brought me in and they put me on tape because the director was from England, and so I gave it, and the music was supposed to be Mahler. Now it's Bad to the Bone, but at the time it was Mahler. And I made up, I don't even know, but I went nuts on this like playing this insane person. So when I got the part, I said, do you want me to do what I did in the audition? Was that the right way to go? And he goes, no. But I knew that because you did that, you could do what I wanted you to do. It's like they were a lot, there was, maybe it's my perception. I think that there was so much less fear back in those days. Now everyone's like, they don't want to make a mistake. They make one wrong decision, they could lose their jobs. Um, it's just this, there's so much more. I don't know what it is. I don't think it can't be like it's different that much, but the perception of things is so different, I guess. Um, I can't imagine that there was any less stakes back in the day when you're still going to lose a lot of money if you did the wrong thing. I don't know what it is, but we had more fun, and it was more. You were you know you got to be freer. I think. It could just be my perception. I don't know, but it's kind of what it feels like. Well, one of my friends is doing a thing on a show, and she was telling me what it was like. And my memory of it is somebody would screw up, and we would all laugh, and we were doing it, and we had fun. And she said she was like, say the lead person was forgetting their lines and stuff, and it was like the worst thing that ever happened. And I was like, I don't remember it being that way,
Mm.
because you know she said, "Oh, no, people don't joke." Okay, well, we did. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's better for them. I mean, I always like everyone always said, "Oh, Fashion on Ridgemont High, that must have been quite the set." I said, "No, we were serious as a heart attack. We all, that was we were all of one mind in that this is our thing. This is what we do, and well, we're dead serious about being actors." Yeah.
So then when you were out, when you got Allison in Chopping Mall, that was another horror film. Were you worried about getting typecast, or were you excited to do another horror movie?
Um, I didn't get typecasting. I didn't understand it. I had agents who were begging me to not do that, and like I remember turning something or another down. I just thought this is stupid. I don't really want to do it. I always needed the money. That was the one through line in my career is I needed the money. So, but there's one time and they cheered. I could hear them all cheering in the back. To you turn that. Oh, thank you, Kelly. And yeah, and so, but I still wasn't really grasping. See, back in those days, if you did horror, it said it was a stigma, and it really messed up your career. And looking back, I mean, honestly, there were things I didn't get to go up for because, or it was harder because I remember an agent looking at my resume and going, "Chopping mall," and laughing in my face, okay? So, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be calling the star of Chopping Mall in for this serious film. So, yeah, it did hurt me, it did, but you know what? So what? Because I have the last laugh now.
I was gonna say, who's laughing now?
Yeah, yeah, but yeah.
And I was gonna ask, like, what do you have a favorite role? Like, or do you have a favorite role or a role where you really felt you got to flex your acting muscles?
It's something that no one's ever seen, but Tom Eberhardt wrote something after Night of the Comet, and we did it in Toronto, and it was called Face Down, and I got to play schizophrenic. And that's my favorite part. Joe Mantegna, Adam Ant, Peter Riegert, and me. And God only knows how he got me up there to play the lead in Toronto because they want you to use Canadians. But he said, I've got, and I didn't even know that at the time. My life is a series of, oh, I didn't know that at the time. But um, apparently he was supposed to cast a Canadian. And he said, but I've got, because of he said, I've got star power. I've got Joe Mantegna, I've got Peter Riegert, I've got Adam, and I can bring you. And can you be here in 3 days? No, I was scared. No preparation to play a schizophrenic. Like no, like you know, no doing like heavy duty research. I'm there in 3 days. So, but I studied with Roy London, and then he died, and then I never really found somebody that I really connected with as much. But when I got there, there was a person there who had taken over a lot of Roy London's students when he passed away, and so he knew about how I like to work. And boy, talk about a godsend, an angel. He said, Tom says it's okay. I said, I need a coach or something. I'm really scared about playing a schizophrenic with um, no warning. And actually, it was really easy. It was really easy. So uh, easier than you want it to be if you but actually it would come down to very, very simple things like Tom said to me, and he's infamous for like not having any sentimentality or anything like that. But he would get quite accidentally got quite poetic in spite of himself. And the note he gave me that really made them two different people, because you take one note that makes sense to you and you just roll with it. He said, I had two personalities, that Meredith doesn't smile.
Hmm,
And that gave me like the two different people. And that's all he had to say. I mean,
interesting.
that's what's so great. I mean, about sometimes it can take forever and ever and ever, and you can't connect the director or the actor. They feel like they can't, or they're afraid they can't communicate. And then other times it's like, she doesn't smile, and you go, oh, and the whole thing just goes, yeah. I lost my train of thought there about something though.
That's okay. So you have experienced some of that yourself in your own work. You've produced and co-produced films and also stage shows.
Mhm.
Do you find being on the other side of it, how is that different? Do you like it? Are you still continuing to do both?
I like it because um, maybe because I started out so like right off the get go, and it's all I ever really did. I think I retained some of that. I'm the child, and they're the adult, and they have they have all the say so. I kind of in my mind I thought I was thinking that I had kind of a child parent thing, but all of us that I got to be a grown up. It was my call, and because I was always was a grown up, but I felt like that was like they didn't want me to be, and sometimes I was right, probably. Um, but there was so much. I liked it, and you might as well like it because that's the way it is now. You know, you're not gonna. No more sitting around. Well, there never was. It's always been a huge hustle. You never just sat around and waited for the phone to ring. I mean, whoever came up with that one didn't do it themselves, because that's not what you're doing. It takes you all of your work as an actor is trying to get a job, and then you get the role, and then that's joy. You get to work on it, you get to shoot it, and then it's over way too fast, and you miss the people, and it's kind of like a little mourning every time you're done.
Mhm.
Then you go on to the next thing. But the work is trying to figure out how to, what you're going to do next. And you don't always get to decide what you're going to do next. Sometimes you something. No, there's things, of course, you don't take, but there's something that you think I can make something happen with this. I can do something with this. It's maybe not your ideal thing, but you can do it. The thing about an actor is why they have to have unions because we probably do it all for free. Is it's it's like the best thing in life is to try to figure out um, how to play it, what this person is all about and what their life is like and what makes them do what they're going to do. And all that stuff is just you really come alive. It's just really, really exciting and it never will stop being exciting.
My goodness. That's amazing. There's so many people now that are kind of making that transition from acting to writing and directing and producing.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that's just a natural progression as you get more experience and you want to kind of control the reins more?
Well, you have to create opportunities for yourself too.
Mm.
Like I said, you just can't go, "Oh, I hope somebody casts me pretty soon in something." You never could, but now it's definitely you have to come up with your own stuff. You have to create your own opportunities. And if there's something that a lot of times, people would get a certain amount of notoriety by playing a certain part and they feel typecast. And so that would be their only way to show that they could do something else. That, they're a more well-rounded human being than just playing like, the idiot best friend or whatever. And that's what they would have to do. And we're still all sort of in the same boat. It-
Mhm.
But it's much different now. I mean, that's where you get your power as as a creator with a voice is you got to tell your own stories, which means you got to learn a lot of things that normally you wouldn't learn. You got to wear a lot of hats, and like for example, I really like directing theater because I didn't have to learn all the technology. And then I thought she would say, "Well, look, why don't you direct a film?" I went, "I don't know the first thing about all that equipment, other than like how not to make somebody mad when they're shooting me. I know that, but I don't know how I haven't had training that way. And you know what? A lot of people haven't had training that way, and they do it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I just think that's
Well,
the way.
excellent. Well, can we find some of the films that you've produced and directed
Well, I
anywhere?
was I did a little my first producing thing was it's called Sam and Mike, and my friend wrote it. And I ended up co-producing it with her. I'm in it. I mean, I have a copy of it. I don't know it won a few awards. Jessica Kuzansky won Best Director in Atlantic City, which is great. So there's that one, and I'm co-producer on the movie right now, Staycation. Although I don't feel that I had a lot to do with any of it, but and I really don't know. I've never seen the script, and I don't know what he's doing with it. So I'm sure that it's going to be great. But, I thought, well, maybe you're going to say, you know what, I really don't need that credit after all. But I don't. I think so. I think it's going to be really interesting. And that's not quite in post production, but almost in post production now.
Okay.
And
Staycation.
yeah, yeah,
So I've been hearing a little bit about staycation. Are you able to share with us anything about it
it's a
yet?
it's a dramedy. I mean, it's based in reality, but it's also got comic elements to it. And I've seen some of it that they already shot. They started shooting it during the pandemic, and then they had to stop. And the money that they had to raise to continue was crazy.
Mhm.
So, but that's what's actually kind of weird about it is now the rest of it when I came in is we're not post pandemic, but after what happened.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a variation of the story of how you get a virus, and people don't understand it, and kind of like what we went through, but also kind of like a zombie thing too. It's different though. The zombie thing is not what I've seen before. Um, um, and honestly, I don't know what the rest of it is. I don't know what he's doing. I asked to see a script 3 times. And finally, I realized I wasn't going to show it to me. So there isn't. Yeah, and I went, oh God.
You get to be surprised along with all of us. Oh my goodness. So are you in any of it?
And
Are
yeah,
you
I did it.
okay. So you know what happens in your part, but
Right,
you don't know what happens in the rest of it. So
right.
ooh,
No, I'm
I'm
sort of
excited.
I have um a cameo kind of thing, but yeah, it's
Okay.
not a huge part or anything like that.
Oh my gosh. So do you have any so like we've had Barbara Crampton up here as a guest
Mhm.
before, and I know that you're really good friends with her
I love.
from since Chopping Mall days.
Mhm.
She's a wonderful human being. But the film that she was just in, Jacob's Wife, was
Mhm.
kind of a script that she had found and really wanted to be in it. Finally
Mhm.
got it made. Is there anything like that for you on your horizon?
I'm still kind of looking for what that's going to be. I really think people who have found something that they want to do are lucky because then there's that drive of I must do this.
Mhm.
I haven't found it yet.
Mhm.
So I'm still looking for what that is. But I remember Barbara talking about that a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
Now she was on that a long time, a very long time for her to get to do that. I'm so um, impressed with her, proud of her that she's my friend, but just holy cow, she's impressive. If you want something done, ask Barbara.
It's true. I have had that experience as
Yeah.
well.
Well, and I let
Um,
her boss me around too because I figure she knows better than I do. So what should I do? This. Okay.
it's always good to have that friend that you can count on to steer you the right direction. Um, so speaking of strong women, and strong female leads, women in the film industry has become a hot topic of conversation, and you were on our Women of Horror
Mhm.
panel
Boy,
on
that was great.
Saturday. That was really, really awesome to see all those women directors and producers in one place just talking about their craft. How do you I just want to touch a little bit on that for people who didn't see that panel, which you can still see on Eventive. It's still up there, it's free. We'll post it on YouTube at some point, but um I'm just curious as to what you see as the biggest developments in, the independent film industry with regards to women as taking on more of a leadership role and having more say and having more space.
Um, it's stunning from when I first started out, and humans have evolved since then. So thank goodness. And we have, e- we used to just have to accept a lot of sexism as just the way it was, and the attitude was somebody would like do something unacceptable, and they'd say, "Well, that's the way it is, honey. If you can't take it, maybe you don't belong in this business."
Mm,
That was the attitude. It's like, "Oh, I better toughen up because I have to take this." No, you don't. And so that has all evolved. And I think, like I said the other day on the panel, um, not that you're not going to run into, um, I mean, it's not all fixed up, right? It's not all better, but people now know they have. I think people know. Like, people were saying, it kind of sucks to be chosen because you're a woman director, and there is some of that too. People will say, you know what, we're going to get torched if we touch this subject unless a woman does it. Because if a
mhm,
guy does it, we're dead. Good, but whatever it takes. But women are going to have more of it because now it's so much easier to do a movie. Easy, but easier to do a movie than it was at one time. Um, um, to, to get your ideas and get your work out there, and it's festivals like this. I love these festivals because I see so much exciting stuff, and then I follow the people and I get to see what happened to them afterwards. And this is this is how really really talented people get their
mm.
footing. Um, and we didn't have that. The question though that you're asking me is how is it different? Well, because everybody wears different hats now too.
Mhm.
Um, and as I always say too, is horror used to be something that you just like, especially directors would they do a horror movie just to get their foot in the door.
Mm.
but that wasn't really where their interests were, and then they kind of felt like they got stuck there. Now people are, I want to do horror from like high school, and they want to do it, and it's the the genre is very well loved on its own, and I think it always was, but there was like this snobby thing about it. And there still is. It's like, some things very high budget or done by some, it's elevated horror, which,
Mm.
stop. You're just putting it down like you always were, okay? Stop.
Or prestige horror. Like,
Yeah.
I always thought that was I was like, "What? What is this?"
But
Prestige horror.
also, I mean, a lot
Fancy.
of times people were just screwing around having fun, and I hope they still are. But the themes in horror movies now are so much closer to the bone and so
Mhm.
much more scary because I think that they're really delving into. I mean, besides on a surface level, um, what's horrifying?
Mhm.
What really is horrifying? And the closer you get to the truth of what's horrifying, the scarier it really is.
For sure. I was gonna say, like, do you feel like there's a big difference in culture and what we see on the screen in horror from when you were, from Night of the Comic to now? Like, is there more of a, I don't know, I feel like there's more anxiety about a lot of things,
Get
like
there.
in our modern time.
Well, I mean, in the 80s, we are pretty sure we were going to get the whole thing of Night of the Comet is people were pretty sure we were going to get bombed or something.
Mm.
Um, I didn't grow up in that thing where you had to get under your desk and stuff. That was all
Mhm.
before my time, but there was a sense of we could get bombed. There was a part of that consumerism, I think, of the 80s too was, live it up because you just don't know. I mean, I think that we had it too, but now it just seems more like it's a way of life that whereas before it was like, that could kind of happen, but you didn't think about it all the time. And now I think it's so much more real for
Mm.
humanity as a as a group that and so it is more serious. People are taking it more seriously. And also I think that every time you tell stories about that anxiety, you get closer and closer to the specific truths of what it really is, and that's what
Mhm.
makes it really interesting because you can really that's how you really grab people
Yeah.
with it rather than okay, so it's the end of the world, and I mean, people can relate to that, but they can so much more relate to. For a while, I think that there was a thing of, like when the monster became the star of the movie, that was a little scary for me because everyone was rooting for the monster. Sometimes I do too, depending on how irritating the characters are. Um, but
It's because the monster is always us.
yes, yeah, true. It's true. It's like a thing in the
We
news.
identify with them.
Monsters aren't there out there. They're in here. Um, yeah. So, but
Well,
I think what I was gonna I didn't want it to be at the expense of establishing these characters so that you care what happens to them by the time something
mhm,
happens. They're not just
mhm.
like cut up dolls that you blow away.
Yeah.
Um,
There's more nuance in the
that's
stories.
that's really important. And so if we're coming into an area where we understand the killer and we understand the victim, then that's really exciting.
Mm.
We don't have to have it so black and white. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I wanna go back to my roots and play murderers and stuff. I really
Mhm. Well, somebody out there write a role for Kelly Maroney so she can play a
I
murderer,
You'd never
please.
know it. People think, "Oh, she's so sweet," with the cheerleading thing. I really like playing evil people, I really
Mm.
do. Anthony Hopkins is my favorite actor, so
Ah, very nice. Well, you heard it here. Somebody write a script.
yes.
And with that, I think we're gonna wrap up and let you get out of here. But
Well,
if anyone in the chat has like one question, type it quickly. But Kelly, it's been so nice chatting with you.
nice
Um,
thank you, nice
you're
chatting.
fearless. You are an incredible actor. I loved you in the deep ones. Just the
Oh,
depth
thank
of
you.
emotion that you conveyed in the short time that you were on screen just really brought an extra element to that movie. And if you would like to follow Kelly on social media and find out what she's doing, um, at Kelly Maroney.
Hmm.
on Instagram, at Kelli Maroney on Twitter, and actress Kelli Maroney on Facebook.
And there's a Facebook group that I have, and then there's also Kelly Maroney. This is the first Facebook page that I had, and I have a website, kellymaroney.com, where I list. And I also do this on social media too. I list everywhere I'm going to be, and what I'm doing, and the projects that I can talk about that are happening. A lot of things got shut down with the pandemic. Hopefully, they're gearing back up. Well, nobody wants us to talk about anything anymore, which is fine. It's fine. It's good. It's good. It's good.
Just have to tease everyone with there's a project that I'm attached to, but I can't tell you about
Now you can't people
it.
say, "So what are you up to now?" And you have to go, stuff. You can't tell
Some cool
anybody.
stuff. Well, thank you, Kelli.
Well, thank
Don't
you.
disappear. We're gonna go off the air, but I'll say goodbye to you after
Okay.
we're
I just
off.
want to publicly say this is an amazing festival. Thank you for having it. People check it out. The talent and the skill are incredible. You won't be, I mean, you'll be stunned. It's really inspiring and um, um, incredible. And I'm very impressed and inspired. And just the other day, that panel just made my day to be on listening to these women. It was so cool. And you guys make it happen, and you do it so unobtrusively
Thank
that
you.
I mean, it's 9 days, people. And
Yeah. And
wow.
there's actually 2 blocks of short films coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. You can go to portlandhorror.eventive.org to find more about that. And if you're in the Portland area, you can come see us at the Hollywood Theater on Wednesday and Thursday. We have the US premiere of Vertilac Blood and another shorts block. And then our closing night features our Red Snow and Red River Road, which was Red River Road was shot in completely in lockdown by a family of 4. They did everything themselves. So that one hits close to home. It's excellently done. And both directors will be with us in the theater that night.
Cool.
So thank you again, Kelli. Thank you for tuning in, and we will
Thanks,
see you all
everybody.
soon.